I like your shirt.
Thank you. I debated it. We discussed the distance between the stripes. You know, sometimes you get those funny patterns.
Moire.
Moire.
As Patrick Beja would call it.
Moire.
Moire. Really, really, really moire.
In Spanish, that's moire.
But in English, you call it moire.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The Daily Tech News Show was brought to you today by me. If you would like to bring it to someone, visit patreon.com/acedetect. That's patreon.com/ACEDTECT.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, January 15th, the Ides of January 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, is 2015 the Ides of the 21st century, Allison Sheridan?
It must be, because we're here.
Because it's the 15th. No, I don't think it works that way. I'm pretty sure that's not what Ides meant. I don't think Ides meant 15th. I think it meant mid-month. So in February, the Ides might be on the 14th. I don't know. Probably have even that wrong.
I never even thought about what Ides meant.
Thankfully, this is not Daily Meaning of Ancient Roman Terms show. It's Daily Tech News show. Allison Sheridan, host of NosillaCast on podfeet.com, is here. Thank you again, by the way, for all those great reports from CES. That was really fun.
Oh, yeah, we had a blast. That was. I do want to thank Jenny, personally, for showing Steve and I kind of the ropes of how to get started, because we'd never been to CES before, and the most valuable thing she said was, use the paper map. She said, I know you think that app is really cool, but the minute everybody else is on it, it's not going to be there. So get yourself a paper map, mark with a big pen, and go on through. So, yeah, we had a good time.
Paper map.
That was another interesting observation, was how many of the reporters were using pencils and paper.
Yeah, there's no connectivity when you're at CES.
Well, but I pictured like a recorder or some other electronic device, but they were using pens and paper, you know, so that was
sometimes even, you know, tech fans understand the old ways are best.
I guess. The one last observation I had about CES was 50% of the stuff there is to help you be lazy, and the other 50% is to tell you to get up and exercise.
Yeah,
so,
it's a virtuous circle.
Yeah. So
what
picture
that's called.
5 years from now, I'm going to be sitting here and I'm going to look at my smartwatch and say, turn the fan off on the heater so it won't come on and disturb the recording. And 5 minutes later, my watch is going to vibrate and say, hey, you haven't gotten out of your chair in a half an hour.
Yeah, I kind of need that during the day too. My dogs provide that service right now, but they're not as there could be an app. Just let the dogs sit around. Then I need an app to tell the dogs to get up. Another virtuous circle happens. So we should start looking at the headlights. Hey, the Google Glass team announced on Google Plus today that the open beta that has been the $1,500 a pair Google Glass Explorer program is coming to an end Monday, January 19th. Additionally, Ivy Ross, who heads the Google Glass team, and the rest of her team, are going to move out of X Labs and into Google proper under the supervision of Nest CEO Tony Fadell, though not as part of Nest. Don't be confused. Tony's just going to oversee them as well as overseeing Nest. The post only said, quote, you'll likely see future versions of Glass when they're ready, as far as any other versions of Glass, but rumors have indicated that Intel would power the next version of Glass, and a consumer version might be announced at Google I/O this year. And pretty much the entire internet has reacted to this like, ha, I told you Google Glass would die. So Allison and I are going to discuss whether this actually does mean the death of Google Glass a little later in the show.
All right, Elon Musk took to Twitter today to announce the building of a Hyperloop test track for companies and students, most likely in Texas. He also mentioned holding an annual student Hyperloop pod racer competition. The Verge reminds us a California project is building models for possible Hyperloop pods already, but Musk has been silent himself on the project for a while.
So, Hyperloop.
I love Tony Stark, don't you?
Yes, Mr. Real Life Tony Stark is amazing. I want to visit this. I wonder which part of Texas they're going to put. He says likely in Texas. So they probably haven't even picked a site yet.
I think that's because there's big open places you could do stuff, right?
Yeah, and they have a SpaceX campus in Texas. So maybe he's thinking, he's got a line on some nearby property, or they have space there, or something. Because I believe there's even a launch facility. I may be remembering that part wrong, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, I love that Elon Musk is saying, gosh, I've been so distracted launching rockets into space that we can reuse. I've let the Hyperloop project simmer too long. I better start a test track for a Hyperloop pod soon. And I also love the way he just goes on Twitter and launches these things without any kind of hoopla, no press release, just like, hey guys, we're going to be doing this probably in Texas. I don't know. Sound cool?
And everybody goes, oh!
Engadget reports on Xiaomi's new line of devices announced by CEO Lei Jun. The 5.7-inch 1080p dual SIM Mi Note comes January 27th for 2,299 yuan. That's a roughly $370 US at 16 gigabytes. Or if you want the 64 gig one, you're going to have to pay 2,799 yuan, about 450 US. At 6.95 millimeters and 161 grams, it's a touch slimmer and lighter than an iPhone 6 Plus. And then there's the Mi Note Pro, which will have a 2560 by 1440 display for roughly $530 US coming in March.
Now, why was everybody all excited saying this was Xiaomi's way of copying the iPhone?
Because it's a 5.7-inch phone, and Xiaomi definitely emulates the spirit of Apple. Li Jun is channeling Steve Jobs quite often when he does these keynotes, and they only make them available, in limited amounts, and they've got that rabid fan following. So, of course, when they come out with a 5.7-inch phone, everybody goes, ha, iPhone 6 Plus, because it's Xiaomi at this point.
But it says Note in it, so maybe it's a Galaxy something. Maybe it's copying from the copier. Maybe this is like the extra photocopy thing, the clone of a clone.
That's the Hugo Barra effect. Remember, they hired him away from Google, and so I asked him what to name it. He's like, I don't know, Note.
Does it come with a stylus?
Also
Tom?
not true. I don't think so. I did not see anything about a stylus. I don't want to commit to that, though.
Yesterday, Reuters established an exclusive report that claimed Samsung had offered to buy BlackBerry for as much as $7.5 billion. I think you guys talked about that yesterday, right? Today, BlackBerry issued a press release to state plainly that they have not engaged in discussions with Samsung with respect to any possible offer. They also don't comment on rumors and won't comment any further on this one. So there.
Odd that they commented at all. But I guess that puts to rest the idea that you don't come out with a press release that says, no, we did not talk to Samsung, unless you absolutely did not talk to Samsung, because investors later on could, hold that against you. However,
that doesn't mean the offer wasn't made.
Well, and the fact that they put out, we were not talking to Samsung, invites you to say, so who were you talking to? Was it LG?
I liked yesterday when you said, I would take that money and run as fast as I could.
I mean, it's because I'm cowardly, unlike the braver people who are actually in charge of BlackBerry.
I guess so.
CNET reports that Marriott has removed a ban on personal Wi-Fi networks in their hotels. Now, don't get that wrong. It's not like they were banning personal Wi-Fi at all their hotels. The decision comes 3 months after Marriott was fined $600,000 by the FCC for using containment features of a Wi-Fi monitoring system at the Gaylord Opryland Resort, which they operate. And then they were charging consumers, small businesses, exhibitors, as much as $1,000 per device to access Marriott's Wi-Fi network. The company claims that it had banned the personal hotspots at the location to protect its visitors from rogue hotspots. A group of hotel chains has issued a request to the FCC for permission to block personal hotspots in order to protect their guests.
Now, I was reading the CNET article and the details on that, the fact that they're trying to protect us, and I think I came up with an analogy. What they're saying is that when I go to the hotel, I can't use my own purified water bottle. I have to drink from the communal water fountain instead to protect me. Right?
Well, that's a really good point. If they were to be able to convince the FCC to let them do this and became widespread, the first person who gets a virus from using the hotel Wi-Fi is going to sue the pants off of these people. Also, there's an easy workaround for this, even if you have a hotspot, which is to tether. They can't block that. So what they're really trying to do, because they say, we're not about guest rooms, we just want to do this. They're trying to get the businesses that come for the conferences to pay for the internet, which they historically have had to do. But with the advancement of hotspots, now those businesses can be like, oh, we just brought our own hotspot.
Well, there's so many pieces to this. When we were at CES, The Wi-Fi in the hotel, of course, didn't work at all because there were 8 billion people in Las Vegas trying to get to it. So we used a MiFi for that. But secondly, I use it so that I'm not in the cesspool, so that I have a secure connection. And, in this case, it was free at our hotel, but at these places, so you're going to charge us a lot. It's less secure, and it's probably not as good as what I would get.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I would just like hotel Wi-Fi to work. That's really all I want.
With my VPN.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. TechCrunch reports that Rdio has launched in India, becoming the first international streaming service to do so. It's not unexpected, as Rdio purchased Indian streaming service Dingana in early 2014. The premium Rdio service will be priced at 120 rupees per month, about a US $1.99, and the company will offer a free internet radio player for mobile as well.
Yeah, it's cool to see Rdio. I mean, that's why Rdio bought Dingana, is they wanted to have somebody who knew the marketplace, because there are a lot of streaming services within India, and they're really competitive. Reuters reports China is setting up a 40 billion yuan, that's about 6.5 billion US, fund to support startups in emerging industries. The fund is expected to be established within a few weeks. China hopes to expand its small venture capital market by using this fund.
Bloomberg reports Mark Zuckerberg unveiled a plan for freeinternet.org app in Colombia. Customers of mobile service Tigo will have a free data access when using the internet.org app, including a group of global and local websites with information on health, education, finance, employment, and weather. That one thing that was really interesting in the Bloomberg article, they said that a third of the world's population has no internet.
Yeah.
5 billion people. Nothing, zero.
We've talked about internet.org before, and the sort of the idea of like, yeah, giving free access to this information is great as a gateway to Facebook. You can argue. It's also not net neutral. You get free access to these services that are in the app. You don't get free access to the wide open internet, though. So it's better than nothing is the argument. That's the way it goes. Intel's reporting its fourth quarter earnings today. Analysts expect a profit of 66 cents on revenue of 14.7 billion, and they got 74 cents on 3.66 billion. That's net income, sorry, not the revenue number. Revenue did rose to exactly 14.7 billion, up from 13.8 billion. Looks like a 6.4% rise in quarterly revenue, mostly from the PC business, which bounced back this year. However, the PC business fell about 3% to 8.9 billion in the fourth quarter off of the third. Net income rose to 3.66 billion, as I mentioned, and no word on the wireless business. That's what Intel really wants to grow into, is to have their mobile business, tablets and phones start to pick up. All right, let's have some news from you. This came from SP Sheridan on our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. He sent us the Business Insider report that the founder of the super successful website Ship Your Enemies Glitter has asked people to stop using his service. Matthew Carpenter wrote on Twitter, "Hi guys, I'm founder of this website. Please stop buying this horrible glitter product. I'm sick of dealing with it." Actually, I don't think he wrote that on Twitter. I think they wrote that on the site. One commenter wrote, "You have made your glitter-coated bed, and I'm afraid you will have to lie in it." Carpenter has, in fact, suspended orders. He took the form down off his site, writing on his website, "You guys have a sick fascination with shipping people glitter. We've received all orders and are working through them. There was a ton, so be patient." He also wrote on Twitter that he's for sale if anybody would like to have this fabulously successful business. I can't tell if he really wants out of it or he's just like trying to be a genius marketer.
He might be a genius marketer. I love the idea. So think about, he thought the meanest thing you can send to somebody is an envelope full of glitter that spills all over. Think what his shipping facility looks like now. So he basically turned it on himself, right? As he caused the meanest thing he could think of to himself. He probably goes home just covered in glitter. Yeah. It's worse than working with manure or something, probably.
He does. He probably has to go through some kind of super shower. He posted, by the way, he posted that on Product Hunt because it had been listed at the top of Product Hunt. And he was like, please stop. Please stop.
Motang tipped us off to the Wall Street Journal report that people still use MySpace. In fact, 50.6 million unique users in November. I like that kind of traffic. Up 575% year over year. MySpace also racked up 300 million video views that month, good enough for the 16th on ComScore's Video Matrix ranking. Or metrics ranking, I should say. MySpace gets a lot of visits from the 17 to 25-year-old demographic and sees a spike on Thursday when people come to look for old pictures to use for Throwback Thursday.
Now, when I first saw the headline mentioning that, I was like, oh, that's kind of rude. But that comes from the Wall Street Journal article quoting MySpace. Like, they're like, yeah, we see a spike on Thursday because a lot of people stored pictures here, and they come back to find their old pictures.
Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, so that's not the worst business I ever heard of.
No, I mean, if you have something that you can then maybe convince them to stick around for, which music and entertainment is what their deal is these days, then yeah, you want people to come back, even if it's for their old pictures. So you can go, hey, then look at this. We've got these videos and this music now.
But they've got the 17 to 25-year-old, which for some reason is the demographic everybody wants. I've never figured that out because they don't have as much money as the people older than them.
Yeah, but they will later. So you want to catch them and build their habits early.
Okay.
Also, the 70 to 25-year-olds are not old enough to remember MySpace, so they don't think it's bad. That might be part of it, too. I don't know.
They don't even know. I like it.
And that's a look at the headlines. I'm not saying it's bad now, but they don't have that bad taste in their mouth like it's old. All right, let's talk about Google Glass. This is hilariously to me one of the most controversial stories of the day. Depending on what article you read, you're going to get a different spin, and depending on what article people are reading on Twitter and Facebook, they're going to say different things about it. It's like people wanted Google Glass to fail, and they're seeing the transfer of Google Glass into Google as a failure no matter what. Allison, I'm married to someone who works for Google, so don't believe anything I say. What do you think of this?
When I was looking at this, I was thinking about, I think what's really catching attention is people are saying, oh, they've given up on it. But it's more like we really want there to be a new Apple TV, right? If Apple said, okay, well, it's not going to be a hobby anymore, so we're going to make it real. We're going to put it under a real product manager who really understands to make products, but in the meantime, we're going to stop selling it. And that's what makes it funky, is they could have moved this over and gone in and said, okay, we're going to make it a real product, and kept selling it to the Explorer program if they wanted to. But the fact that they stopped, which I think is probably brilliant because there's a lot of problems with it, right? I mean, beyond the creepy part, we can probably talk about the creepy part a little bit if we want to, but from a product standpoint, the low battery life and things like that, you know, and the goofy lookingness.
I think you're absolutely right that it's sort of the idea that, hey guys, I paid $1,500 for this thing and you're cutting it off. What does that mean for me? Like, what did I get out of participating in your open beta at $1,500 a pop? There were some questions posted by someone named Keith I. Myers on the Google Plus thread that Google Glass posted making this announcement, and I thought his questions were spot on. What about future glassware? Will you guys be accepting contributions? And when he says glassware, he's talking about apps. So what happens to the developers? Number 2, will you be supporting future upgrades to Glass, or will we be stuck on KitKat? That's one of the problems with the old TI hardware that's in the current Explorer versions of Glass, is it's really difficult to run current operating systems on. They're having problems getting Lollipop running on it. And number 3, what does this mean for the current group of Glass users? And I think that's the biggest one, is like, do we get something for this? Like, I feel like Google's just maybe not doing as good of a job communicating to the people that helped them as maybe
that's
they should.
Never happened before with Google.
Oh, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
they've always been masters of communication. But maybe I'm just snarky, but to me, you knew you were in a beta program. You didn't buy a production thing here. It's like people who say, you know, I broke my phone and now it doesn't work, or I loaded this beta software and everything went wrong. Well, yeah, of course it did. That's kind of what you sign up for. So they bought a product that they knew was in beta, they knew was experimental. Do they expect it to be supported forever and have upgrades and everything?
You know, it's a funny thing though, but it's not the amount of money they spent at the beginning, it's the amount of involvement they felt.
They were part of something.
Google, yeah, and that's the danger of making a beta program is, hey, guys, we're asking for you to help us, and so I've helped you. Now, what do I get out of it? right? And Google's answer is, well, you get the glass. And I think the honest response would be, yeah, I paid $1,500 for that thing. Like, what else do I get for participating? I'm part of your team. Where are we going? And Google shouldn't abandon that. Now, a lot of people are also making a big deal out of the fact that Ivy Ross was moved into Google. For one thing, Google X is not meant to house consumer products. Google X is meant to develop products, and the idea is that they will then move out of Google X into Google. This would be the first time that a product has done that. There was one other product that I know of that was spun off as its own company out of Google X, but they've never actually taken one. So we don't know what the roadmap is, but this is the way Google X is supposed to work. The product matures, and when they're ready to make a consumer version, you make it part of Google.
In a way, isn't this really a sign of confidence about glass? Because it's becoming a real product. It's not that they threw the spaghetti against the wall and it didn't stick. It stuck, and they say, hey, well, that is pretty interesting. Let's see where we should go with it as a final product, not as a goofy, weird product.
Yeah, they saw lots of parts of it stick. And I think people's assumption is none of it stuck. They're like, it was a failure. We don't see people using it. Nobody at CES had Google Glass on. And so moving it out of the X Lab means they're giving up on it and they're turning it into parts for other things. Maybe that's true. I can't say for sure that that's not true. Google certainly doesn't want you to think that's true. All of their rhetoric says, no, we're moving the entire team. Ivy and the entire team are now going to work with the guy who knows consumer products best at Google, Tony Fadell. So to me, I feel like, yeah, Google I/O this year, we're going to see the first line of a consumer version of Google Glass. And remember, they've worked with von Furstenberg. They've worked with several other designers, Luxottica, to work on making this look better. You bring Tony Fadell in, who says, here, let's tweak this, do this, and all of a sudden you have a prototype product that you can show off at I/O. And I think that's the test of whether I'm right or not, is we need to see an announcement of this at I/O. And Ivy Ross has to stay with the company until then. A lot of people are like, yeah, expect Ivy Ross to be tossed out next. I don't know why they would transfer under Fadell if they were going to get rid of her, frankly.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I can't keep coming back to what you said about the people feeling like they had given to Google. What do they get back? What you get back when you give like that is a sense that you helped form the product. So if the product comes out and becomes something amazing and everybody loves it, you feel like, hey, I helped with that. Expecting it to just live on in its current incarnation where it's not very popular, and I mean, I guess I'd rather see it turn into something great, but maybe that's just me.
And I would like to have a discount or even a free version of the glasses. And I think Google would be very smart to do that, to say, hey, everybody who bought into the Explorer program, you get a free pair of glasses, or at the very least, you get them at half price, or something like that. Because there are a lot of people who are feeling a little raw right now, like they've been abandoned. I don't think they have. I think this is just Google's not very good at communicating, and they fully intend to follow through on the promise of Google Glass, but they need to do some outreach to the people who helped them get there.
Well, I read that Twitter had abandoned Glass, and in fact, the Twitter app disappeared from Glass because they stopped supporting it. And so they could have just died this horrible slow death, or it gets reinvented.
Yeah, and part of that has to do with the fact that you couldn't run Lollipop on that TI chip in the old Google Glass. So again, these rumors that Wall Street Journal was reporting on back in December, that an Intel-powered glass is expected this year, give me the feeling that, yeah, we're going to see a redesigned glass as a consumer product with, fashion designs, cheaper, with a brand new, the ability to run Lollipop so that apps can be ported in much easier. And they're going to restart this whole thing no longer as a beta X project, but as a real consumer project. That's what this sounds like to me.
I'll tell you how I thought it would go out. I thought we would find out just like when Navin R. Johnson invented that way of holding your glasses in the jerk, and he made $1 gazillion, and then they found out later on everybody kept staring at the thing in the center of their head, and they ended up being cross-eyed. That's what I thought was going to happen with Google Glass. If you have all these people with this weird upper right corner vision, and then they get sued.
You still might. I mean, all of what we're saying has nothing to do with whether this will still succeed. It might come out at Google I/O and totally flop. Like, there just may not be a market for this yet. But I don't think they've killed it.
How critical is the camera? Because the camera is part of what creeps people out, right? If it didn't have a camera,
Oh, it's going
There
to
wouldn't
have
be all
to
these
have a camera. Maybe they'll sell a version without a camera. I mean, the other thing to remember is that they have not ended support for glass at work. Enterprise developers and companies,
right,
they're continuing those programs. I think if they were getting rid of glass, they would be ending those programs or winding them down.
That's a good point. And that's actually good for human use, right? They're using
Yeah.
it in surgeries and things like that. Yeah, that's pretty
Definitely.
cool stuff.
All right, our pick of the day comes from Jamie in beautiful British Columbia, who says, My Data Manager is a solid app to track your data usage for iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch users in real time. Tracks both your Wi-Fi and cellular data. You're able to set your billing cycle and data cap as well. You can see a graph of your usage to see where you use the most data and get notifications when you're getting close to your limit. Best of all, 100% free. Got to be using iOS to take advantage of it, but you can find it at mydatamanager.app.com. I've not tried this. Maybe I should.
I've tried one like this. There's one called Dataman, and the problem I have with these is they only measure it on the device you have it on. So if you're doing any kind of a shared data plan, like the big place I have trouble with is my iPad and my MiFi are on the same data plan, and I'm always burning it out on the iPad, on the MiFi, but the iPad doesn't know that's happening.
My mom and I are on the same data plan, so it does, and she uses more data than I do because she doesn't have Wi-Fi.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this wouldn't actually help me really.
Geek moms rule.
Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We'd love to hear them. I've got a couple of good ones today. They're in the hopper. And find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. All right, got a call from Joseph, who heard about GoPro being kind of telegraphing that they're going to announce a live broadcasting service later this year. Here's what he said.
Hey Tom, hey Patrick. This is Joseph coming to you from the Arctic Circle in Finland. And I just had one item after your recent episode, and about how GoPro was possibly introducing a new hardware that allowed them to have live footage, however they plan on doing it. But I think what made GoPro big in the first place was how accessible and how portable they were. And I think this new live video streaming service could, in essence, revolutionize live TV. In the way that you could combine, some type of subscription service or create your own channels, or flip through different live options like chat roulette introduced, from anything from BMX motocross or MLG or everything, even like the life of Kim Kardashian, whatever people are doing these days. Yeah, but I think it could be a new industry that's created and could be the new cool thing to do. Rendering pre-recorded services is boring, and live TV is the new norm and the new expectation. So it's interesting to see what doors this will open via GoPro and see where people take it from there. Thanks a lot for your show. You guys are great. I'm a soon-to-be supporter, so keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, thanks, man. Also, I think he forgot that Patrick wouldn't be on the show today.
Wait, does that make me not Patrick?
Wait, you are now not Patrick, which makes you Patrick. So then he's right. Huh. For anybody who doesn't realize, Patrick's Twitter name is not Patrick. Anyway, I think he's onto something here. Twitch gave us the online version of a sports channel, right? Everybody watches people playing video games. This could give us our outdoor life channel. This could give us our outdoor sports channel. Watching people, climbing mountains, biking, extreme sports and recreation, not maybe just sports, but I kind of think he might be onto something.
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. This could be really fun. Now, of course, that GoPro is on top of your drone, and it goes crazy, right?
We also got a couple of emails about Facebook at Work. That's Facebook's new program that they're rolling out in a limited fashion to certain enterprises to allow you to collaborate at work. Rich from lovely Cleveland thought it might be most useful for HR as a front end to its employees. He talked about how he worked at a place that used ADP for that, and he said as Facebook reaches saturation in developed markets, it may be worth their time to monetize the same people at work that they're already getting at home and on mobile. I don't think Facebook really wants to become a payroll processor, but there's definitely other avenues in HR Facebook could leverage. And then Jeff Steinhauer talked about his frustrations trying to get people to stop using email to share information at the design company. It's an architectural design firm he works at. He's like, a lot of that information is passed down from the top brain trust, and it's hard to pass it down. He convinced management to purchase and install a forum called vBulletin onto the intranet, but he just can't manage to get people to use it. He says, I'm not convinced Facebook at work would have any better usage here. Other workplaces might have benefits. Facebook is currently blocked, and opening it up is viewed as a hit to productivity. I'd love to hear what other companies are doing for knowledge sharing. I have heard of other firms using blogs or wiki-style interfaces for this task. I think if Facebook is blocked at work, you can use Facebook at work. They're two separate products. So you could continue to block the personal version of Facebook and allow Facebook at work to go. But Allison, I know you had some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I worked for an 80,000 person company, and we instituted a social network inside the company, but we ended up using IBM's Connections. And Connections gave us all of the things that Jeff was talking about. It gave us discussion boards, it gave discussion forums, it gave us a wiki, it gave us live chat and communities of interest. And in a giant corporation, I never had any experience with small companies, but in a giant corporation, what we found was that anything you were trying to solve, somebody else was probably solving it. So you could post the dumbest thing like, I'm making a PowerPoint about blah, 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 and somebody else would say, well, I work on blah, blah, blah too. You want to share your charts with me? And so while I was actually the champion for this, and it was really tough to do, because I'd go into these meetings with a bunch of old white guys, and I'd say, well, it's just like Facebook. It's like social media, and you'd really like it. So luckily I was old too, and white, but I was able to go in and say okay, I know this sounds really stupid. It sounds like Facebook at work, but it isn't. And the best way I could sell it was by saying it's nothing like Facebook. I cannot even imagine the reaction or how I would have been able to sell actual Facebook to that audience. I can't picture it. But it didn't stop email, but it did let us have a place where people who didn't get the beginning of a conversation could jump in and go back and read the beginning of the conversation that you lost in email. So we were definitely making some traction when I bailed. And
how did you get people to use it? That seems to be the big frustration that a lot of the folks have, is like, we've tried different things and then people just don't use it.
I tried to start, people would come to me and they'd say, I need a connections. And I'd say, why? And they'd say, well, because my boss said I have to. One guy wanted one because his people didn't communicate, and they sat on the same aisle. And I said, yeah, dude, you got a different problem. But I would keep peeling back, saying, what kind of problem are you trying to solve? If this were completely successful tomorrow, what would your business be like? What would you be doing differently? What would you know? How would you have communicated better? And I would try to pull out the things that they wanted to achieve, and then say, okay, you need a forum, you don't need a wiki, or you need a wiki, you don't need a forum, and help them figure out the pieces. It had enough traction from regular zealots that then people would come to me and say, I want to do one of these. What should I do? How do I make my business?
So you'd make them know why they wanted it, rather than saying, well, I'm ticking off a box on the checklist my boss gave me. Yeah.
I turned a woman away once because she absolutely could not articulate, well, I need a connections. Why? Because I gotta have the connections. Because they said so. I said, no, you don't get to keep talking to me until you can answer that question.
Wow.
So problem to be solved.
That's a good way to do it. Ron wrote in and said, I don't think competition, Tom, is going to fix my internet access problem. He lives and works in Omaha, Nebraska, but also owns a small place 45 minutes away, about halfway between Johnny Carson's hometown of Norfolk and Letterman's top 10 home office in Wahoo. He says the nearest neighbor is a quarter mile away. No cable TV, high-speed internet. Don't see service coming anytime soon. I don't see competition as the answer. It's also why I don't mind the extra tax on my Omaha home phone bill to help pay the cost of rural landlines, which is by law open to competition from a number of telephone service providers, since taxpayers helped fund installation and repair of the telephone lines. Meanwhile, take a look at connectiowa.org and follow the Connect Every Iowan link. I would like to see Nebraska follow a similar path so that, like Iowa, every Nebraskan could have broadband. And Ron's right. Competition, I mean, I talk about competition, I'm saying this is how we fix net neutrality, is you make it so that no ISP has a vested interest in violating net neutrality, because there's enough competitors that you would just switch to a different ISP if they started to violate net neutrality and you didn't like it. What Ron's saying is, yeah, but that's not going to get anybody to invest in rolling things out to my country home 45 miles outside of Omaha. And he's absolutely right. So you need a different solution for that. And finally, Boss Jeff was among many people who have pointed out that I have been saying the word D-E-C-O-U-P-L-E, decouple, and he says, I've never heard it pronounced that way before, and check the dictionary, which also agrees. I just thought I'd mention it. I don't know why I say decouple. I assumed it was just a local accent. We talked about it after the show yesterday. Apparently, no one else on planet Earth says decouple, and I apologize to those I have offended.
I got to tell you, I said, Steve, did you hear? He just said decouple. There, he said it.
Really?
He said it again. He said it. He's saying it on purpose.
You know, my wife, before we were even dating, when I was working for ZDTV Radio, and she was producer of ZDTV Radio, would make fun of me behind my back for saying Yahoo instead of Yahoo.
Well, I grew up in Indiana and Michigan, and I say turn off the light and stuff like that, so I get it.
Decouple. I'll try.
Decouple.
Because apparently it really bothers people.
Do you say couple? Like I'm a couple with Eileen?
No, I say couple when I mean that. Couple is like trains. You couple the two train cars together. Couple is two people.
Isn't it fun being on the internet where everybody can correct you?
I'm surprised I got by this long without this becoming a thing, to be honest. And that's it for the show. Thank you, Allison Sheridan. Podfeet.com, folks. Go check it out. Go subscribe. Listen to Nosilicast. You won't regret it. Allison has great stuff, and it's a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah, and right now we are posting a truckload of videos from CES. Steve is encoding like a maniac right now. We did about 37 interviews, I think. And I wanted to give a little public service announcement to anybody who posts videos on the internet. YouTube videos do not have a visible, if I can use the word visible, play button for screen readers. So at the bottom, right after I embed the video link, I also I put a little link that says using a screen reader, click here. And it takes them to the regular YouTube, because the regular YouTube has a play button. For some reason, the embedded one doesn't. They get this thing called frame zero, and if they're smart enough to navigate inside frame zero, they can eventually get to it. But it's not obvious. So if you throw that little link on there, you can include a gazillion more people can listen to your stuff.
And I started doing that when you first mentioned this to me recently. So you can, on dailytechnewsshow.com, you can find that link.
Hot dogs.
Every day. Well, thank you, Allison, and thank you, patrons. 4,722 people. This is getting crazy. Getting us closer and closer to getting Veronica Belmont and Scott Johnson on as regular contributors. Serious thanks to everybody who is willing to give a little bit back. And we don't ask for much. We always talk about 5 cents a show. If you can up it to 10 cents a show, that's like just a few of you doing that will skyrocket us toward this goal. And if you haven't, if you've been like, I've been meaning to get around to go into patreon.com/acedetect, now would be a good time to do it and help us get to that point. And if you can't, that's fine. We totally understand. We've been there. There's lots of other ways to support the show. dailytechnewsshow.com/support is one, or just telling other people about it. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what stories we cover at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Voicemail, 51259-DAILY. Live, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on alphageekradio.com, Monday through Friday. And our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Darren Kitchen and Len Peralta. Talk to you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Woohoo!
That flew by.
Yeah, it did. It was a good show.
That was fun.
Yay!
Hey, Jenny, are you ever going to come on, Jenny, and say, man, that show sucked?
No. Because they ever so rarely... I'm not even going to say, but I'm going to say...
It sucks sometimes. It's all right. You can admit it.
But it's Tom, not the guest.
No, actually, usually the reason that I would put a show in a sucks category has everything to do with where a person is and how good their internet connection is.
Right. Not the content.
The honestly only thing that drives me crazy is unavoidable, except for massive pre-producing, which we're not at yet for the video side. So, like, if it starts to affect people's audio or it starts to affect people's video, then I'm like, ugh. Because then the method of delivery is getting in the way of the always excellent content.
Right. Then the content is decoupled from the medium.
I support decoupled. You know what? Like, come on.
I'm just curious if I'm the only person, if anyone else will come out of the woodwork and say, no, I say that too. Because this is one of those things where people are like, oh no, there's a certain region. Like people are like, I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Ohio, I'm from Illinois. I don't say that. I'm like, I don't know where I got it then, but it's.
I love those discussions. Steve and I got an argument about whether it's median or meridian. And it turns out east of the Mississippi, it's meridian, and west of the Mississippi,
The
it's
strip
median.
in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's the median.
Yeah, back. Well, you're from Illinois, though. You should say meridian.
No, median where I grew up, but southern Illinois near the river. Maybe that's why.
There you go.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just give people slack on words because words to me are the most fluid, beautiful thing we have. Like they evolve. You can say a sentence wrong and it comes out as like the most beautiful piece of poetry. And so I get if you really want to know what free speech is to Jenny Josephson, it's the ability to say anything you want, any way you want it, because even if it doesn't make spot-on grammatical sense, if it makes you happy, then it's a good sentence or a good word pronunciation.
Welcome to Word Killers. Say what you want, when you want.
And the way English works, right, is that we just start evolving. The language is evolving all the time. Words like "don't" are in the dictionary, right?
Yeah.
But I still don't think height should be a word.
What, with the TH at the end?
Yeah. But I heard it's on its way in.
That way. Or
You're allowed to end a sentence in a preposition now.
library.
Library. Ooh. Orangutan.
See, but library is an example of a living language. Like that. Look at French. When you look at written French, tons of letters in there that they don't pronounce anymore, but they used to. They just libraried it.
I mean, we no longer say "Her kom Alfred say uneskoiga ebling ebelredes sunu singes hidrar in and wold to his meter." We don't say that anymore. That's because the language has
Not as much
evolved.
as we should. I mean, when that April with the shorter suit, the drocht of March hath parset to the route and bathed everyvenia and swish liqueur of which vertu engendered is the floor, just isn't out there as much as it should be.
No, but you know what? It's still on the internet.
I can do the signal flags from the Navy in alphabetical order.
Do it.
Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf Hotel India Juliet Kilo Lima Mike November Oscar Papa Quebec Romeo Sierra Tango Uniform Whiskey X-Ray Yankee Zulu.
Woo!
I might have missed Victor.
I can still do most of the Animaniacs. It's like United States, Canada, Mexico, and Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Haiti, El Salvador, too. See, like, it's all what you learned.
Don't you hope somebody tunes
Washington,
in right
Adams, Jefferson,
now?
Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Hoover, Coolidge, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford. Because I learned it in 76. That's where it stops.
Nobody came after Ford.
And after Ford, I can do it, but I have to think. I mean, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush,
Wow.
Obama.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Whenever they do one of those things about what president did blah, 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 it's always a president I swear I've never even heard of them before. History was not my strength.
Google Glass explored. Or Google Glass first contacts.
Oh. I don't. Was that the story? That's the best ever, like, sentence. But I thought it was that it was being moved out.
Google Glass first contacts is more ephemeral, right? It's like, it's our first, where contact with the public is coming up. Whereas
to me,
Google Glass
because it's
Explored sort of implies like the Explorer program is done. We've explored it. Now it's time to launch it.
I like that one. My thing is Google Glass first contacts is like 5 years from now there are going to be Google Glass contacts.
Yeah, we should save that one, Dark Redeemer. You're too
what was the other one? Now do Kings of England.
Yeah, thanks, Big Jim. Thanks, buddy. I cannot do the Kings of England. Certainly not the English kings. Maybe it's some of the Norman ones for a stretch. I'd have to think, though.
How about, I am the very model of a modern major general of information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the Kings of England and quote the fights historical from out of their thunder, Waterloo, and order categorical. Oh, I'm rusty.
You just said you knew the Kings of England. See,
I
so that
know.
kind of covers what he was asking for.
That's why I said.
This reminds me of when Dave Barry said, how come most adults can sing all of the words to the Gilligan's Island theme song but don't know their own blood type?
Oh my God, that's true.
Because
of me.
the song was sung to them regularly for years on end. If their blood type had been sung to them regularly, they would know it.
Typo, negative.
The reason I know those presidents is that every morning in first and second grade, we would sing the presidents to the tune of Yankee Doodle.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe not
First
every
grade?
day, but yeah, first and second grade. Washington,
Child
Adams,
abuse.
Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan.
It's much better that way.
And it ends with Johnson, Nixon, Ford. These are the presidents of our land and none should be ignored. Which I always wondered, because Carter got elected and then we never sang it. You know, I moved on to
Apparently
third grade.
he had to be ignored.
Like, how do they end the song now? And
Well, it's been a very singing post show today.
that's
ladies
good
and
for a
gentlemen.
starter. I don't know.
You know, there's been some research into helping people get past the problems of speech after a stroke. And one of the ways they get people to be able to speak is to have them sing what they want to say.
Oh,
So
yeah.
It's in your brain
Yeah, yeah,
there
yeah.
somewhere.
No, that's fascinating. I know people who have had to do that, and it's crazy. They don't sound like they're singing. Wait, you were just talking about who was the cartoonist? No, you were
It
talking
was
about Paul.
Dave Barry.
But who was the cartoonist? Was it Scott Adam?
Did you get messed up?
Who had to do that? I think the Dilbert cartoonist.
Oh, wow.
I'm half remembering things, so it may
Well,
be
there's
all
also
wrong.
the King's Speech, where the King of England
Oh, right.
had to sing to overcome a stutter, which is a known tactic. It happens.
Spasmodic dysphonia is what Scott Adams had. And yeah, apparently he had to sort of learn to sing things in his head to be able to say them out loud again.
Wow. My mom had a stroke and it didn't work with her, but I did find that anything related to coffee was what she would remember.
Really?
Yeah. The other thing that was hilarious was she'd lost the ability to do almost any speech whatsoever other than coffee and please more coffee. And my daughter finally got engaged, and it had been 7 years, and she belted out in a complete full sentence. Oh no, it was when they first started living together. She said, "When are they getting married?" I mean, she couldn't make any other sentence, but she could make that sentence.
She had
She was happy.
motivation.
Yeah, she was very happy when they got married.
Aw, that's great. Yeah, my dad had a stroke, and he lost motor control. So he could speak, but he had a hard time actually forming the words because he couldn't control his mouth entirely. But yeah, he was lucky in that he didn't lose all his words or anything, but he had a hard time walking.
Hmm.
Well, that was fun.
No, I was just thinking about, yeah.
That brings the show up, doesn't it?
Took a turn. Let's sing something else. Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful trip.
Yeah, but no, they get shipwrecked. It's horrible.
Now, Steve and I tried one time to sing the part after the credits. We were driving in Hawaii back from the volcano with a long drive, and it took us almost all the way back. We knew all the pieces, but to get them in the right order,
To reassemble them.
it was much more difficult than the beginning.
How about everything is awesome?
There you go.
Everything is cool, even though no Oscar. Everything. You made a lot of money.
Well, that song got nominated, thankfully.
Yeah, it did.
That's
I
cool.
think I'm going to call it the Legos movie, just to irritate everybody.
If that song didn't get nominated, I think the internet would have done broke.
I like the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the song is great, and just.
I mean, if you like songs that promote fascist conformity to an overlying paradigm, sure, I guess.
What'd you pick as the title?
Google Glass Explored.
I like it.
Big Jim can sing the theme from MASH. I can do that too.
Ooh.
I could do the first verse. I don't know if I could do the following ones, but
I don't even remember how that goes. I would recognize it.
Which one? Oh, the
Through
scene from it.
early morning fog I see visions of the things to be. Some things that are withheld from me I realize, and I can see that suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave it if I please.
I never even heard the words.
That's why you didn't hear the words.
They're from the movie,
Oh,
which is much darker
okay.
than the television series. And now we're Debbie Downer again.
Yeah, I was going to say, thanks.
All right, under
That's why I
the
stopped
bamboo,
singing them, because
under
I'm
the
like, I don't want
bamboo
to drag
tree.
that one out.
Room enough for you, my darling. Room enough for me. When we get married, happy we'll be under the bamboo tree. If you'll be M-I-N-E, mine I'll be T-H-I-N-E. Then I will L-O-V, love you all the T-I-M-E time. You are the B-S-T best of all the R-S-U-S. And I will L-O-V, love you all the T-I-M-E time. Rack 'em, stack 'em up any old time. Matches the gas tank. Boom, boom, get out and walk. Sweet chariot. All right, all clear. We're done.
What is inside your head, Jenny?
Camp songs. It's all camp songs. You just got a camp song. My favorite one.
But
You've been camp-songed.
I
You've
thought
been
your
camp
brain was
songed.
full of details about actors and actresses and producers and directors.
That
Now I
is
know all this
taking up-
crap's in there too.
Yeah. There is not a lot that is functional or useful in my brain, but it's all very entertaining.
Who could sing the words to Star Wars?
Star Wars, nothing but
Star Wars. You got to get the intonation just right.
We are
fabulous.
uploading for those of you who are like,
Yeah,
please.
there is a reason we're still on the air.
Important stuff.
I think
So thank
Bill
you again,
Murray's
Jenny,
going to be.
for your help before CES.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Fun.
It is taking me 5 years to learn all that stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
still get confused about like what hotel I'm supposed to be in when.
Just walk for 3 hours.
Yep.
Turn left. You know what, though? I was disappointed in the number of steps I got. I get 16,000 a day at home, and I
Really?
had trouble hitting that.
Really? Humble bragger.
You're
Yeah.
not walking.
Well, I
you're
usually
shuffling.
walk more than CES does.
No humility at all, Tom. Brag. I just got my 2014 stats. I walked 5 million steps last year.
Nice. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Speaking of everything is awesome.
pretty nuts. It helped retiring. I was about 12 or 14 before I retired. But so I went to CES, and I think one day I hit 18, but it was because I made Chuck and Steve walk. We walked all the way from the we walked from the Riviera to the convention center, and then the convention center to the Sands over to the Mirage, and the Mirage back to the Riviera.
Yep.
That got it done.
Just walking around the convention center would kill me
Yeah.
when I was doing it all the time.
Maybe I was too
just-
efficient.
It's like there's battery life on your phone, which is a problem, but there's also battery life on your feet. And you can literally, by the second day of CES, you're like, I am not going to walk anywhere because I need to save these steps for the convention center because my feet will hurt 10% less if I don't walk. And so that's why you probably don't get as many steps in, is because it's
saving,
like
I
so
suppose.
exhausting.
But I didn't find it physically exhausting. The first night when we went to CS Unveiled, so it had just been the afternoon, really. At 10:15, my brain shut off. Just like, if I see another wearable, I'm going to shoot myself. That was Sunday night, 2 days before it started.
Yeah, it's a mental exhaustion that
Yeah.
translates into a pain in the feet. It's like your brain hurts and it transmits directly to your arches.
Well, I was smart enough to wear really good walking shoes,
Yeah.
much to Steve's chagrin, because he likes me to look tidy.
Yeah,
Nope.
all vanity should go, unless you're literally on air, like all vanity should go straight out the window.
My feet weren't on the air. I wore
No,
nice
it's true, but it's the instinct is you're going to see a lot of people you kind of want to look snazzy, and I have evolved that art over the years. Actually, the person who is the absolute living queen of CES fashion and functionality is Molly Wood. She has really managed the process. So yeah, but mine is just like, I'm gonna wear hiking boots if it's comfortable because I'm gonna walk a lot.
Why do you think all those guys are wearing blue blazers and light blue shirts?
Yeah.
You know? They don't
Well,
have to
I
think
thought
about
that
all
was to
that stuff.
blend in so that not all of them would be killed in the herd.
Yeah. I don't want to be picked off.
That's right.
I wore the butt shoes, and that changed my CES forever.
What's that?
Because the butt shoes are the ones that are rounded on the bottom. They're supposed to like
right.
work your butt while you walk, but they're also really padded and comfortable on your feet. They're like almost orthopedic.
I had to stop wearing those. I know the ones you're talking about.
They wear out your legs faster.
My
That's-
back hurt after a while,
Oh,
and
I
I
never
stopped
hurt my
wearing them,
back.
and it went away right away. I had a lot of trouble with those.
Yeah, not for you, for sure.
Yeah,
SoundCloud's giving me issues today. That's why it's taking longer.
that's nice.
It keeps processing the track, and then it gets to the end and goes, error processing your track. And I'm like, but then why didn't you tell me that before? Why did you wait till the end? And it says, because the error happened at the end, dumb.
You know what makes me really happy is that a person in our chat room named Dark Redeemer knows all the lyrics and words to Disney movies. I like that.
Is that what that is?
That's
a long
Dark
time ago in a faraway
Redeemer
land?
with a bright outlook.
No Debbie Downer there.
No. I feel reasonably certain Dark Redeemer might be. Is that a name of something from somewhere? Or is that a hero or a anti-hero or something? I'm going to look it up.
Okay, I was saying there was a class action lawsuit against the company that made those roundy shoes.
I was just responding because there were many different companies that made the shoes, so I wonder if they would sue all of them.
Anywhere anymore.
Because the company I bought mine from was like the company that made Skechers.
Yeah, that's where I bought mine from too. You don't see them anymore. I have a friend who works there, so I didn't make a big stink about it. But man,
I still have them. I just don't wear them.
I loved them. I remember the first day I wore them, I walked around going, "Does my butt look good? Does my butt look good?" Because it's supposed to help that, right?
That may be why your back had a problem because you're constantly
sticking my butt out. Does it look
turning
good?
around.
So many butts.
We've covered everything.
trying to see, that'll strain. All right, let's see. Did it make it? Come on.
Did you do it?
Do it, SoundCloud. Do it.
Do it.
I'm very good at integral and differential calculus. It did it. It worked.
It worked.
Does Chrome always have a people menu? Mine says file, edit, view, history, bookmark, window. The next one says person.
Yep. I suppose that is if you're doing adding different profiles. I've never
I
done
thought maybe it was
In
associated
the
with...
browser?
Yeah,
I have
browser.
file, edit, view, history, bookmarks, window, help.
Mine says people. Click on the Google Hangout tab or window.
All right,
That's
hold
when
on.
I'm seeing it. No, I'm still seeing it on a regular tab.
Wild.
It's weird. Maybe it's new.
It's reasonably new. It's not super new. I've seen it for a while. It's
So I am
just so that
person
you can
one.
better understand who is doing what with the browser.
I have it on my laptop, which is OS 10 Yosemite.
Rich
I
C
did
says
not
it's
have
new.
it on the window I was looking at, which is OS 10, not Mavericks. What was the one before Mavericks?
Mountain Lion?
Mountain Lion, yeah.
Add a person. So who's person one? I can be person two.
Oh, is that for having accounts
Yeah.
personalized? Yeah, you can have. I know they just made it easier to get to the personalization. Firefox has had that for a long time too. They just didn't have it up in a separate menu. So you can customize. So all the bookmarks change and preferences change, stuff like that. The extensions.
Uses it for she uses it for work and personal. Who knew?
I'm almost out of the post.
Good job. I did yesterday's show notes because apparently I forgot. Oh boy, it must be the new year. So now
All right, everything works. We're out of here. Thank you everyone for watching. The
We're
two of you
done
who are
distance.
left. Goodbye.